Okay, the last question we're going to look at for this part is called the discriminant. Okay, so the nature of the roots of functions. Now, we just did the quadratic formula, which is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And you'll have noticed when we went through this, when we got to the end, we went off in two directions, didn't we? We went off to the direction of negative b plus b squared minus 4ac over 2a, and we went off into negative b take away b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So there's two answers at the end. And what we're doing here is when we want to know the nature of the roots, we don't have to do this whole formula, we just have to do this bit, the discriminant. And that tells us what the roots are going to be like. Okay, so think about it. If b squared minus 4ac comes out as, say, 0, then there's nothing here and nothing here. Okay, so if b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, these two numbers are exactly the same. So you say that you've got two equal roots. And all that means is your graph's doing something like this. It's kissing the x-axis, okay? That might be, x take away 4 squared. That might be, y equals x plus 4 squared or something like that, So you've got two equal roots. That's when it's equal to 0. If b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, so say that number comes out as a number, I will be saying, okay, well, I'm adding 5 and I'm taking away 5. So you've ended up, you've got two different answers, don't you? So if that number is bigger than 0, the plus or minus means that you're going to have two different answers. So all that means is you've got two roots. Okay? So you've got something like that or something like that, whatever. Okay, but the point is you've got two different numbers for that. Okay, and we just say to that we've got two real roots. Maybe we should say two equal and real roots for that. Actually, I'll have to double check that. Maybe just to be careful. Two equal and real roots. I'll explain that in a wee second. Two equal and real roots, i.e. one root. Two equals just one root. And here you've got two real roots, two distinct and real roots. Sorry, two distinct and real roots. I.e. they're both different. You've got two of them. And the real thing comes into it because you in Sec Theory do imaginary numbers, which we're not doing just now. But the point is, if we end up in a situation where this is negative, say we get a number less than 0, if we say b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, well, okay, add the square root of negative 4, take away the square root of negative 4. We can't do the square root of that unless we use what's called imaginary numbers or lateral numbers, we call them. Okay, so we can't do that. Our calculator will say, can't do it. And all that means is, if we looked at it, we wouldn't have any roots. Okay, our graph does not touch the x-axis. Okay, so that's the three things you want to think about. Okay, and it can be hard to remember that, but I think when you think on the principles of it, it's not too tricky, is it? If it's negative, my calculator won't do it, therefore we don't have any. If it's equal to 0, this formula comes out with two of the same answers, so it's two equal answers. And if I've got a number in there bigger than 0, I've got two roots. I'm going to have two different answers. So you can kind of, tell yourself the story. But the point is, for each of these, you want to do b squared minus 4ac and then make a comment. Okay, so on this one, there's my a, there's my b, there's my c. So I'm going to say b squared minus 4ac, the discriminant is called. I'll substitute in 4 squared take away, 4 times 2 times 5. So I've got 16 take away, what's that coming out as? 40. Okay, 16 take away 40. So that's negative 24. So therefore, no real roots. Okay. I'm sorry, I should have just put that next. That's why no real roots. Okay, it doesn't have any roots unless you get into your other numbers. Let's just do the same for this one, shall we? We'll just say that's b squared minus 4ac. Substitute in, so that's 5 squared. Take away 4 times 7 times negative 1. And see the negative here, this is going to come out as a positive, isn't it? Yeah, so plus 28. that's coming out as 4053. So then you say, therefore, 2 real and distinct roots. Obviously, write it neater than me. So the point of this is you're looking at the discriminant, the bit underneath the square root sign, b squared minus 4ac. If it's a negative number, you can't possibly have any roots. That will not solve. You can't do the square root of a negative number. If it's equal to 0, you've got 2 equal and real roots. If it's greater than 0, you've got 2 real and distinct roots, either 2 different roots. Okay, and that's what that one comes as. Yeah, so that's the end of our, I'd say that the standard questions. I said that the complete the square was very much the quintessential, the classic, complete the square. That's a great question, comes up a lot. Then the sketching, that's like a good one, and then this with the quadratic formula, another classic question type. The next set, I would only really worry about these if you're wanting to ace your paper. If you're wanting an A, this is going to be your last couple of questions. See, the marks are a bit bigger for these. 7 markers. They require a wee bit more critical thinking and a slightly deeper understanding. Okay, look at these ones. 2, 4, 3, 1, 1, 1. There was some. It's very procedural, and if you can identify, if you know what the question's asking, there's not a huge amount of problem solving. These next questions on the next 1 or 2 videos, yeah, this can catch people out. It's usually the last question of your paper, so have a look if you want to really ace your paper. But if you find this tricky, what we've just done, I would practice this and really make sure you've understood how to complete the square, how to draw out or give the equation from the sketch, and understand how to use your discriminant and your quadratic formula before you go in and tackle the next part of the videos. Okay, so that's the main work's done, and now we're into the kind of really hard, I want an A, I understand everything very well. It's part of the syllabus. Okay, so hope that those videos were helpful. Next one. Cheers.